Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Slayer back here again with another video. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I now have over 3 weeks of sobriety, and I make these videos not only to help myself stay sober, but also to help you guys out there stay sober as well, man. I got a wild one for you guys tonight. I got a wild story. I think that this story really shows the dangerous, unpredictable nature of booze. It also shows that you can go into drinking with quote unquote good intentions, all the right intentions. And once that hard liquor starts flowing through your system, man, at least when it starts flowing through my system, all those good intentions go right out the window. It doesn't even have to be hard liquor, any significant amount of booze. It kills your inhibitions. And it's just another reason that booze is so dangerous. Overall, though, I hope that somebody can learn something from this, because the sad reality of it is that the later that you get into your alcoholism and the deeper that you fall into your addiction, the more normal that these stories become in your life. And it's just no way to live, man. I don't want any of you guys to go through this craziness. So please learn something from this. And with that being said, man, let's just go ahead and jump right into this story. This story took place about 2 years ago. I was living with my brother in his apartment. The two main characters for this story are me, Slayer, and obviously my brother. And I've talked about my older brother. He's my oldest brother. Before, he's struggled with addiction himself. Mostly it's been amphetamines, a little bit of Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying, and booze. He's fought his fair share of demons with alcohol as well. And we both had attempted to get sober several times at this point, but at this time period, we just didn't care. Both of us were extremely depressed. We were feeling down, feeling sorry for ourselves. Pour me, pour me, pour me another drink. That was the type of time that me and my brother were on. So it was just the perfect disaster, really. It was nothing good was going to come from that. So I was living with him, man, and it was a Saturday. This story begins on a Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning. I wake up, and I get out of bed. I go over to the refrigerator, and the first thing that I pull out is a Budweiser. That's my breakfast. Most normal people, would pull out maybe some eggs, maybe some bacon, start making a breakfast for themselves. My breakfast was beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I crack that open, I slam a Budweiser, and that's how I begin my day, man. About 30 minutes later, I've slammed like two Budweisers, and my brother gets up out of bed and he comes into the room. And again, at this time period, and by the way, my brother is sober now. He is doing absolutely amazing. And I've said it before, I would really like to get him onto the channel, and maybe one day I'll make that happen. But not during this time period, man. He gets up, he comes into the kitchen, he sees what I'm doing. He's on the same type of time that I'm on. So he comes over and proceeds to crack open a beer himself. There was only like 7 or 8 beers, so I think that I had like 4, and I think that he had 3. And I never understood how like normal people can drink like 3 or 4 alcoholic beverages and then just move on with their day. It's literally like the worst thing ever. And maybe that's just because I'm an alcoholic. I'll never be able to understand that, but it's horrible. We slammed those beers, and at the time I was in and out of jobs because of my alcoholism. Of course, it was horrible, man. I need to make an entire video on all the jobs that I lost. I would be working at a job for 2 weeks, and they'd find me drinking in the bathroom or something, or I just wouldn't show up because I got too drunk the night before, and ultimately I'd end up losing the job. I was dead broke at this time period, so whatever booze I was drinking was coming from my brother. And he actually had to go and do something. I couldn't even tell you what he had to do, but I remember he had to go and take care of some business. So he ended up taking off, and there I am left alone after having 4 beers with no money, just left to my own vices, just thinking, man, this sucks. I wish that I wish that I could keep my buzz going. And keep this in mind, this is like 9:45 in the morning. I've already slammed 4 beers, and all that's on my mind is getting more. When is he going to get back so we can drink more? It's a sad reality. When I'm wrapped up in my addiction, booze comes first. Everything comes second. I let everything go, including myself. Everything goes to the wayside. It's extremely, extremely selfish. But that's the nature of this disease, man. So I remember I twiddled my thumbs for a while. I did some jumping jacks. I did a somersault or something, did a couple barrel rolls, and waited a couple hours for my brother to get back. So eventually he got back, and he came back with a 12-pack of Budweiser, man. So the party now continues. And by party, I mean poisoning ourselves and ruining our health and destroying our futures. That's what I mean by partying. So he gets back with the 12-pack, man, and we proceed to drink them. Wow, what a shock. I'm slamming one after the next. I remember we were watching something on Netflix. I don't even remember what we were watching. We were laughing, joking, having a good time, really just enjoying getting completely fucked up, completely drowning our sorrows with as much beer as we possibly could stomach. So we end up drinking those. We both have 6, and my tolerance at the time was so damn high that the 6 beers really didn't even do that much. And I was already sobered up from the 4 that I had previously from the couple hours before. So the 6 only got me to this certain level. And by this time, I think that it was after we had finished that 12-pack, it was probably around like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock. And we had the bright idea, because now we have booze flowing through our system. Again, the inhibitions are already going out the window. We're already thinking stupid thoughts. So we came up with the great decision to go to the bar. Once the sun started to set, we were going to go to the bar. Now, the one smart thing that we did decide to do is that we were going to walk to this bar, because this bar was actually extremely close to the apartment that we were staying at. Now, I will say this also, though. The bar that we went to, we should have known better. We never had any luck at this bar, man. I remember we went one time, and this drunk dude, literally, he was walking, he fell over. There was like 2 stairs leading down. Dude completely missed both the stairs and just fell and slammed his head against the hard floor. He was laying there bleeding out. The ambulances came. Another time we were there, this dude in a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, he must have been like 700 pounds. And this is nothing against bigger people or people in wheelchairs. I have nothing against either. But this guy was an asshole. He comes rolling up in his wheelchair, and he tries to start a fight with me and my brother. We're minding our own business. We're like drinking whiskeys, minding our own business. This dude in a wheelchair comes up and starts fucking with us, saying that he wants to fight us and stuff. And like, obviously we didn't fight him. What we were supposed to do, fight a dude in a wheelchair? I just don't understand. My brother was tempted though. So we should have known that this bar was full of nothing but sketchy, suspicious activity, full of ghouls and goblins, and that it wasn't, we had bad luck going there. So we should have known better. But again, that alcohol is flowing. We're not thinking. We did make the smart decision to walk over there, but this all comes back around, man. Again, what I said at the beginning of the video about how you can go into drinking with all the best intentions. You can do the right thing, quote unquote, by walking. And we were doing the right thing. You should never drink and drive. But once you're several drinks in, it just changes the way your thought process. So eventually the sun begins to set, man, and me and my brother take off. We set sail for this adventure over to the bar. And we walk down there, man. We're talking, we're laughing, we're joking. At the time, I'm smoking cigarettes, so I light up a cigarette, I'm smoking. I give him one, he's smoking. And we're trying to enjoy our nights. We're talking about how good of guys that we are and how responsible we are to be walking over to the bar instead of driving, and we're really proud of ourselves. So we end up getting to the bar, man, and we go in. I remember I threw my cigarette in the little ashtray thing outside, and we go in. We sit down at the bar, man. The bar was actually pretty empty. There wasn't that many people there, so it was like, heck yeah, man. We pretty much got this place to ourselves, and it's a Saturday night. This is what's up. There was probably nobody there because the bar sucked. But the waitress, the bar tender ends up coming over, and she knew us, and she's like, "What's up, guys? You know, can I get you guys your regular?" And our regular was Jaeger, beer, and whiskey. So we're like, "Yup." She comes over with a couple shots of Jaeger, a couple whiskeys, and a couple Guinnesses as well for us. And this is really the beginning of the madness. This is really where everything starts to go downhill. Me and my brother just proceed to get totally fucked up. That's an understatement. We're drinking Jaeger bomb after Jaeger bomb. I'm taking shots of whiskey. I'm slamming beer after beer, shot after shot, drink after drink, getting up and taking a piss, coming back and just restarting it, doing it all over again, man. Spending tons and tons of money that my brother didn't have. But hey, man, we're getting wasted, right? That's the goal. So we just continue to drink and continue to drink and continue to drink. And at this point now, we've been at the bar for a couple hours, and I am starting to see double. Everything is, I'm looking around, my eyes are going cross-eyed, everything's getting blurry and fuzzy. I'm starting to slur my words. I'm absolutely and completely wasted, man. Let's just be honest. I'm completely and utterly hammered out of my mind, and so is my brother. And this is leading up to some of the last memories that I can actually remember. One of the last memories that I have is I'm sitting there going cross-eyed, seeing double, can't even hold anything together, can't even really string a sentence together, trying to hold it together the best that I can. And I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta take a piss. So I remember I ended up sitting up out of the seat, the bar stool. And when I dropped out of, because I was like sitting up, and when I came off the bar stool, I like went forward a little bit and like got kind of dizzy, and I almost fell over, man. That's how hammered I was. That's how drunk I was. I'm like wobbling, stumbling, going like this. And I remember my brother jumps up and he put his arm around me. And remember, he's hammered too, but he's just a little less hammered than I am. And so he jumps up, he puts his arm around me. He's like, "Oh man, you're all right, man. You're all right." He's like, What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, I gotta go to the bathroom." And I remember he looked at me. He's like, "Dude, I'm gonna help you to the bathroom. I'll carry you to the bathroom if I have to."
But I can't carry you! Come on!
So we proceed to go over to the bathroom, and I go in there and I take a piss. And we end up, and I remember when I was in the bathroom taking a piss, like my piss was just shooting all over the place. I was like going like this, stumbling all over, shooting it all over the walls and stuff, man. Just being an absolute and utter degenerate. And that's all that I am when I'm drinking, man, is a complete degenerate. So I'm pissing on the walls and stuff, being an asshole, not really meaning to. And we come out of the bathroom, man, and we go over and we sit back down at the bar. Now, keep this in mind, man. We have, at least me, I can't speak for him. I know 100% for myself, man. I'm drinking all of this liquor on a complete empty stomach. No food, no water, just straight liquor.
I can't recall the taste of food. No, the sound of water.
So that just adds to how the level of intensity of the drunk, when you're not eating and you're not drinking water, you're going to get 3 times as hammered. And so we come back, we sit down, and this is my very last memory before I completely fade to black, like the Metallica song, man. I'm sitting there and the waitress comes over, and my brother, I remember him looking up at the waitress and being like, "Man, I am completely starving. Do you think that we could order some food?" And I remember the waitress looked down at him and she said, "We actually just stopped serving food about an hour ago." Right after she said that we stopped serving food an hour ago, darkness, blackness. I fade to black. Everything gets watery and I go into the darkness, man. Slayer is no longer in control. There's now something else in the driver's seat, so to speak. And the rest of the story, which I will tell you guys here in a moment, was all told to me by my brother, and by other people that were involved. So everything starts to get blurry. I fade to black. I completely black out. Next thing you know, I come to. And I'm laying down. And I slowly come to. I open my eyes and I lean up. And the first thing that I realize when I open my eyes and I look around, I'm laying inside of a hospital bed. Or inside of a hospital room, on a hospital bed. I'm laying in the hospital and I come to and I'm looking around, man, and everything is so blurry. I'm still seeing double. I'm still hammered. I don't know how many hours have went by and I end up passing out again. I don't know how many hours went by. It could have been 2, 3, 4, 8. No clue. I end up waking up again. This time, I'm actually aware of what's happening. I wake up and I look down. I realize that I'm laying in the damn hospital with zero memory of how I got there. I have no idea what happened. I'm looking down, man. I thought that we got into a car crash or something. That was my first thought. I'm like looking at my body, making sure that I'm not missing an arm or something, man. I had no idea what happened. I'm looking down, I'm checking myself, and I don't see anything. And so I think to myself, okay. I also noticed that I'm in a hospital gown and I'm butt ass naked under the hospital gown, which I thought that was weird. I know why I was naked. I'll tell you guys here in a second. I'm laying there. I'm just so confused. And I'm like, what is happening? And so I end up pulling my phone out. I luckily still had my phone and I called my mom. I called my mom. I was like, hello? And she's like, oh, so you're awake finally. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Where's my brother at? What's happening? And she's like, oh man, I have a lot to tell you. So this is all now picking up the story. This is all coming from my brother and my mom. I'll lead back up to where we are in the story just in a second. So what ended up happening is that I took that drink, I fade to black. Because the waitress was not serving food anymore, my brother, since he was starving, and he said that I was hungry too, and I was also pushing for food. I believe him. I'm sure that I probably was. I just have no memory of it. And so my brother had the bright idea, the grandiose idea, that we should go to Taco Bell. And not that we should just go to Taco Bell, we should go back and we should drive a vehicle to Taco Bell. So there you go again, man. We went over there with the intentions, we walked over there with the intentions and the purpose of not driving a vehicle intoxicated. Well, now that we're 100 shots deep, no thought, it's not even crossing his mind to get behind the wheel. And so we end up walking back to the apartment from the bar, and we end up getting into his car, and we take off. And on the way over there, this story just gets crazier and crazier, man. As we're on the way over to Taco Bell, my mom apparently called my brother and said, hey, I'm like going to work, or I got something going on. She might have been going out with some friends. I'm not 100% sure, but she asked us if we could come and pick up her dog and take the dog with us. And my brother, in this drunken state, said yes. So we ended up stopping on the way over to Taco Bell at my mom's place. And my mom, maybe she was drunk herself. I have no idea what went through her mind to give the dog to us. I could imagine how we looked and appeared and sounded. But apparently we stopped over and we picked up her dog. So now we have an animal with us. We're in this car, we're both blackout drunk, and now we're driving with an animal with us on top of it. So we leave from there and we end up going to Taco Bell, man. And again, this is again where everything kind of like shit hits the fan, so to speak. Apparently we ended up pulling up into the drive-thru, and again, zero memory of this. This is all coming from my brother. We ended up pulling into the Taco Bell drive-thru, And I guess that my brother was, being really loud, and he was like screaming at the people in the drive-through. And we ended up ordering whatever we ordered, and we pulled forward. And I guess that my brother had music blasting over, like, just at like 100 on the speakers. And he told me that as he was blasting this music and we're like getting down and shit, I ended up jumping out of the car, and I'm outside of the car fucking dancing. I'm like throwing my hands up. He said that I ended up jumping on top of his car in the middle of the Taco Bell drive-thru while there's people behind us and in front of us. And I'm dancing on the car and shit. And he said that I end up running off, and I take off. Just like a maniac. I'm completely out of my mind. He says that I end up taking off, and he said he had no clue where I went. I just disappeared. I ran off. And he said that he pulled up, and the people in the drive-thru, the Taco Bell employees, were like keeping the window shut. And he was looking up, and I guess he started banging on the window, and they weren't even opening up the window. He was like, what the fuck is going on? And I guess that one of the Taco Bell employees opened the window up and said, hey, we're going to get your guys' order here in just a minute. Can you pull over to the side? And he was like, yeah, sure. So he ends up pulling over to the side, and he finds me over there. I'm over behind a bush, puking my guts out. He pulls around to be able to, park so the people can bring out the food. And as he pulls over, the headlights shine into the bushes, and there I am, puking my guts out into a tree, like behind a tree, just throwing up profusely. He said that after I was done throwing up, he said that I sat in the grass, and I was just sitting there like completely wasted out of it, completely out of my mind. And he said that he was like, whatever. His plan, that he said that his plan was, once they came out with the food, that he was just going to come out and help me back into the car, and we were going to take off. Well, the people didn't park us to bring out our food. No, that wasn't their intention at all. They parked us so they could call the police on us. Yeah, man, the Taco Bell employees ended up calling the police on us. They clearly could see that we were both wasted out of our minds. And so apparently the cops end up showing up at the Taco Bell, and they pull up. We're screwed, man. My brother's sitting there with the car on. They instantly come up and they approach him. They tell him to step out of the car. He's getting the whole entire down that you get when you're intoxicated. They're trying to do tests on him and shit. He refuses the test, so he instantly goes into handcuffs. They're handcuffing him. Meanwhile, he says that I'm literally passed out about 30 feet away in this patch of grass, just laying there, and I look like I'm dead. That's what he said. He said that I'm laying in the grass, and I look like I'm completely and utterly dead. He said that they ended up calling an ambulance over, and the ambulance shows up, and they fucking grabbed me and, like, put me on a stretcher, basically, and lifted my dumb ass up and put me into the back of an ambulance. So as my brother is handcuffed, being taken away in the cop car, I'm being hauled into an ambulance. And by the way, I was with both of my brothers when they got their DUIs, which I think is kind of weird. I think it also kind of shows that it's bad luck to be drinking with me, man. When it comes to alcoholism, both of them were very bad alcoholics, but I can say, and it's not a competition, it's nothing to be proud of, but I am by far the worst alcoholic. And when it came to me and drinking, I would always push the envelope with it. And I was probably not a good influence even for my older brothers with their drinking. I was with both of them when they got their DUIs. So he gets taken off in the back of a cop car. I'm hauled into an ambulance and rushed to the fucking hospital. And so apparently they get me to the hospital, and keep in mind, remember the dog in the back of the car? The cops end up calling my mom. They're calling all these numbers. They're trying to get a hold of somebody. Finally, they get a hold of my mom. And they're like, yeah, your two sons, don't worry. Your one son is in jail, and your other son is in the back of an ambulance right now, or at the hospital. And we currently are at the Taco Bell drive-thru, and your dog is in the back of their vehicle. The shit, man, that my mom has had to endure. It's just both of my parents. It's just crazy, man. I couldn't even imagine what was going through her mind at that time. So she ended up coming over to the Taco Bell drive-thru and picking up her dog, absolutely and utterly furious. I could only imagine. And she said that she ended up calling the ambulance, or not the ambulance, but the hospital, I guess, and asking about me. And I guess that this nurse picked up and she was like, "Oh, yeah, Slayer's here. He's all right. He's alive. I think that everything's going to be okay," being really sweet. She was like, "We can keep him for as long as you need. Just let us know when you can come get him." And cool. My mom was like, "All right, I'll be there before too long." Click. About 20 minutes goes by, and my mom receives another phone call. She picks it up. It's the same damn nurse. This time, she's absolutely and utterly furious. She's sitting there on the phone telling my mom, "You better get this. You better come get him. Come get him. Come get him." My mom's like, What happened?" Well, apparently, uh, I pissed myself. Yeah. Nothing funny about it, man. Nothing funny about it. This is alcoholism for you. Apparently, I pissed all over myself when I was passed out in the bed. And now the nurse no longer gave a shit about taking care of me. She was done. After I pissed myself, no more sweet talk. It was come pick this nasty motherfucker up. Um, but yeah, man, I pissed myself. And that's why when I woke up in the hospital, I was completely naked with nothing but a gown on. That nurse had to help me. She had to clean me off and get me into this gown. And I don't remember any of it. That means I was just butt ass naked with this nurse having to clean this piss up, man. Just horrible, horrible, horrible. And so I wake up in the hospital, man, and I don't know what's happening. I call my mom up. She explains what was going on, the entire story, and I'm just dumbfounded, man. It all happened so fast. I couldn't even believe it. And all because of booze. And my brother had to, he ended up getting put on probation and because of this incident, and then he ended up failing his probation and going to jail for a significant amount of time because of it. I mean, a lot of just BS transpired because of this situation. We could have easily The situation could have ended so much worse. We could have died that night. We had no business being in that car driving. We had no business hauling a dog around. It was extremely, extremely dangerous. The entire night was a disaster. I remember eventually I kind of like came enough to be able to get out of the hospital. I remember calling my brother when he was in jail, and he was just like, "Man, what the fuck? Like, we've got to get our lives together." And that was honestly when my brother made a real change. And I guess that was the one positive thing that came from that situation, is that it really woke my brother up. Maybe I should have went to jail that night. I don't know. I was surprised that I didn't. I really thought that I should have went to jail that night, but I'm grateful that I didn't. Um, it was just wild, man. Wild. A horrible, horrible night. I woke up from that, and since my brother was in jail, I was completely broke at the time, so I ended up going and living with my mom. And instantly, when I got over to my mom's place and I got out of the hospital, it was instantaneous. I started going, it was probably like a day later, I started going through horrific withdrawals. Um, and I was just trapped, man. I didn't have any vehicle at the time. And this was coming off of like probably a month and a half binge, drinking every single day. And now here I am withdrawing. I remember I went through slight DTs. I saw all sorts of creepy shit around the house. And it was a horrible experience overall, man. I ended up having to pay thousands of dollars in hospital bills. My brother went on probation. We put our lives at risk for absolutely nothing, man. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That saying is 100% true. I don't know what we expected. And again, it goes to show you that you can have the best intentions in the world when it comes to drinking, but that all goes out the window, especially if you're an alcoholic like I am, man. That we just, once it's on, it's on. If I have one drink, there is no stopping. And I ended up going through, I didn't go back to the hospital. I ended up white knuckling some of the worst withdrawals I had ever been through in my life. I thought that I was going to die. it was horrific. I was hallucinating. And then on top of it, I had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to pay for a dumb ass hospital visit that was completely uncalled for, that could have completely been avoided. And I also felt somewhat responsible for my brother as well, just because I was part of that. And that was hard to have to, see him go to jail and stuff because of it. The whole entire situation was completely and utterly terrible. Um, so yeah, man, it just shows that booze is unpredictable, and it's just so dangerous. You hear stories, man, of people on their 21st birthday who have never been drunk a day in their life. They go get drunk for the first time, they get behind the wheel and they end up killing somebody, and then they have to they have to live with the thought that they killed somebody over something that could have been avoided, something completely stupid, and on top of it, now they have to sit in a prison for who knows, decades probably over what? It's never worth it, guys. It's never worth it. And if you think that this stuff can't happen to you, trust and believe me, man. I thought the same thing about myself. I didn't think that my alcoholism would ever get to the point that I was going into liquor stores and buying liquor with pennies. I never thought that it would get to the point that I was stealing and just being a complete and utter piece of garbage. I didn't think that it would turn me into the monster that it did, but it eventually does. It's a progressive disease, so it gets worse and worse and worse and worse as time goes on, man. Um, and yeah, man, it sucked. It sucked, and for like a couple weeks after that, it was just a really bad time period, man. Um, and again, could have all been avoided if we just didn't drink. If we would have sought help sooner. And when I make these videos, man, so like I said, I hope that they are a lesson. I hope that you guys can learn something from this. I hope that it can remind you on why you're not drinking. Because when I make videos like this, man, it definitely reminds me on why I'm staying sober, why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. So again, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you took something from this. I love you guys. I'm going strong, man. It's not too far off, and I'll have a month sober. I say it all the time, man. You guys are such a huge part of that, and I have such a huge thanks to give to you guys. So thank you. I love you guys. Um, don't drink and drive. Please just remember that booze is unpredictable, man. Booze is very unpredictable, and I just don't want anybody to be in the position one day where maybe they're waking up in a hospital, but they're not as lucky as I was. Maybe they're waking up in the hospital and both their legs are broke, or they're paralyzed, or they're waking up in a jail cell being told that they killed somebody. Just don't do that stuff, man. Seek help, get help. Alcohol is a straight up poison. You are worth it. I love you. Thank you for watching this video. I know that it was super long. And yeah, man, I love you guys, and I will be back real soon with another video. I didn't really know how to end this. I hope that you guys took something from this video. I love you guys. Stay safe. Stay sober. Let's take it one day at a time, man. And yeah, man. Peace.